Hello from the Dukascopy TV studio in Geneva. We're talking about public-private partnerships and their contribution towards sustainable development with Mr. Jan van Schoonhoven. He is from the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, and he is leader and manager of the Center of Excellence for Public-Private Partnerships. Mr. van Schoonhoven, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much, Daniel Smenger. It's a pleasure to be here.
So actually, public-private partnerships, what is it actually?
Public-private partnership is the bridge between private investment and public investment. It's done in a lot of infrastructure ways, in schools, in housing. It's in fact a public task done by the private sector with funding and financing from the private sector. And to make it more realistic, I always tell my mother, the toll road is the mother of all PPP contracts.
Mm-hmm. What is the special potential now of public-private partnerships these days?
Yes, I think there's a good potential for public-private partnership. A lot of tasks in transitional and developing countries are still in the hands of the public sector. That doesn't mean that the private sector cannot be involved in executing those tasks. For example, education. Why should a government run completely a school? That can also be done by the private sector. You just want the education, the teachers, to be from the government side. The same as a hospital. The building, the operation rooms, the medical care can be done by the private sector. The doctors, however, and the nurses will be from the private sector. So it's very attractive for the private sector to be involved in this type of work, and also good for the government side. More effective and less spent of money, of tax money.
And what is the special role the United Nations now plays with public-private partnerships, and especially the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe?
Countries understand the potential of PPP and do want to do a lot of PPP projects. It's however hard to start with your first project. What the United Nations Economic Council of Europe does is share their knowledge on PPP from successful countries, and the most successful countries are in Europe. For example, I always explain that it's like swimming or driving a car. You have to have your swimming lessons or you get your driving license. What the UNECE does is help countries to obtain their driving license or to learn swim, and then start your projects and then start implementing PPP.
Mm-hmm. And talking about sustainability, what is the special contribution public-private partnership does or gives for sustainable development goals?
I think one of the lessons of the Millennium Development Goals was that a lot of targets were not met because there was a lack of funding. And we do not want to make the same mistake in the Sustainable Development Goals. If you look, you need about 4 or 5 trillion a year just to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Energy for all, water for all. Without private investment, this is not possible. It's not possible by just putting money in the pot. So you need the private sector to be involved in this system. PPPs are a proven tool and mechanism to unlock private investment, millions and millions. If you do it right, then you get the private sector involved in the Sustainable Development Goals, like water for all, like energy for all, and then you can reach them.
So actually, what are best practices for public-private partnership these days?
I think people using a lot of PPP means so. A good example is the metro in Hyderabad in India. I think that's a good example where the transport by metro solves the pollution problem, but also prevents that all people in Hyderabad buying a car and then the whole city be completely jammed by cars. Another good example is the schools and hospitals, a hospital in Lesotho Hospital in South Africa, where more people are treated in a better way with less cost. I think that are good examples how PPP can contribute to the development and to the life of people.
Mm-hmm. So to wrap it up, so what is the use of public-private partnerships towards sustainable development goals?
I think one of the lessons from the Millennium Development Goals was that a lot of some of the goals were not reached because just putting money in the pot was not enough. You need about 4 or 5 trillion US dollars a year to just achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. You need the private sector to come in. PPP is a proven tool to involve the private sector. They get a return of investment, they get some of the money back, but we get the profit of getting the goals in a more sustainable way achieved. So without the investment of the private sector, we will not achieve energy for all. We will not achieve water for all. We will not fight climate change because we do not have enough funds in the government budget. So we need the private sector to get into the Sustainable Development Goals. And PPP is one of the most successful instruments to engage the private sector.
Jan van Schoonhoven from the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, thank you very much for your visit in the Dukascopy TV studio and for your expertise today.
Thank you, Daniel. It was a pleasure to be here.
And thank you for watching. Do make sure to keep clicking back on the Dukascopy TV website for latest updates and exclusive interviews. Have a great day and see you next time.